Big changes that families need to know about before the school year even starts. Illinois is lowering the testing benchmarks for students to be considered proficient in math and English. So what does this mean for students? NBC5's Nguyen on the story for us. She joins us now in studio to explain. And you even sat down and talked to the state superintendent.
Allison, the superintendent is reassuring parents they're not lowering the standards, but simply fixing and addressing what he says is a misalignment of student level of performances over the last decade. He says they want to match the national benchmark and believes this is the right move to help students who have been mislabeled.
So again, the standards have not changed. The things that we expect children to know and be able to do at each grade level remain the same. They remain as high as they were yesterday. Nothing about this changes teaching in classrooms. What it means is that we are fixing a decade-old problem of students being misidentified, labeled inappropriately as not being college ready, when many of them are. To put it into perspective, when Illinois adopted the SAT exam about 8 years ago, we set cut scores that were significantly higher than what the College Board itself says is college ready.
The Board of Education voted Wednesday to approve the new cut scores. This applies to all state assessments for math, English, and science for students in elementary and middle school. It also includes ACT testing for students in high school. You can see the new and old benchmarks in this chart here as provided by the state. For example, students in 5th grade will have to score 740 to be considered proficient in math, as opposed to 750. For science, the benchmark actually went up.
I think the reasoning makes sense. If there are students that were on the cusp who sort of were labeled as not college ready, and that discouraged them from applying to college, and if the cut scores were changed so that they would feel more comfortable that it is a viable path for them, then I think that that's fantastic. I think a lot of these test scores, people look at the scores themselves and say, these are indicators, or maybe that these tests themselves are unfair towards certain groups of students. But I always look at these test scores and say, it's not the tests themselves, it's the educational system leading up to those test scores. That's really the issue when you look at, achievement gaps and things like that. So yeah, they're not perfect, these standardized tests, but I think that they definitely have their use.
Meanwhile, the Board of Education spent 18 months getting feedback from students, teachers, and analyzing data to adopt the new scoring system. The superintendent says they're expecting to see a 12% increase in students being proficient in English and language arts, 10% in math, and even a slight drop in science. Alex, back to you.
All right, V, thank you.